Hi guys and welcome. Tonight, one of the topics that was on my mind, and it's on my mind because the peacocks that we have. I'm gonna tell a little story about that. We have peacocks here, and if you've looked at some of my videos, you have seen pictures of the peacocks in my videos. I uploaded a dog treat video to this channel. Hopefully, it gets uploaded. The first time I tried to upload it, it took so long that it just aborted mission. It just didn't upload, and I had to redo it. So hopefully it'll be up there. And if you watch it, you'll see in the beginning that I have peacocks on my back porch. So the story behind these peacocks. At one point, we literally had over 200 peacocks. I know you're going, what? Yes, we did. I counted them. That was back when we had the cows. We used to milk cows here on the farm, and at that point, we had over 200 head of cows, and we had over 200 head of peacocks. Now, you might be wondering how in the world did we come to get peacocks? Well, probably about now I was young. I was probably I don't know 17, 18 years old. Probably I can't remember exactly, but I was young. Um, my aunt gave my grandfather. Now my grandfather owned this farm before he passed away, and my dad now owns the farm. And but anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, um, my aunt, my dad's sister, gave my grandfather, their father, a pair of peacocks. And the story was peacocks. They told my grandfather, "Oh, they don't breed in captivity." Well, they brought the peacocks here and turned them loose. Well, that's not captivity, right? No. So they began to reproduce. And over the years, we did get up to literally 200 peacocks. They were all over this farm. They're still all over the farm. Probably we only have about 20, 25 now, only. Um, but they they bred and they just kept multiplying and multiplying. And to get back to the reason I told you about the cows, we never fed them. The peacocks would come out and they would eat bugs and different things, and they would go out in the field and they'd eat the bugs, but they would also go into the feeder where we fed the cows, and they would eat out of the cow feeder. So they had plenty to eat, and again, like I said, they multiplied, and they were beautiful, and they are beautiful. I'm not going to tell you they weren't. They're not, but I must have been older than that. I must have been 18 or 19 because I lived out here then. And my parents, I moved out of my parents' house and I lived in a house out here where I live right now. Lived in this house my entire adult life. So I was already living here. So maybe they had come just before I moved into this house. It doesn't matter. The point is, I had trees all around my house, and I was trying to, I love flowers. So I would try to make flower beds and keep flower beds and make everything look pretty. And the peacocks would come and they would peck the flowers right off of the flowers, right off of the flower, right off of the plant. And they would just destroy them. And in a way, they're like chickens. They like the dirt. They like to wallow in the dirt. My husband makes fun of me because I say waller. It must be the southern in me. Um, but wallow. They like to get down in the dirt. And the reason that chickens and birds like to do that is the dirt gets up into their feathers and it kills any bugs that they might pick up. I understand that, but I didn't like them getting into my plants. So they would tear up my flower beds and they would, just get into my plants. And I married my husband, and one night we were laying in bed back to the trees that were around the house. So the peacocks would get up in the trees and then they'd get on the roof of my house. And when they ran across the roof of my house, it sounded like a person running across the roof. You would have swore there was a person on the roof. And this one night, Peacock stuck its head down my chimney and yelled. Now, if you've ever heard a peacock yell, it sounds like a kid or someone yelling, help. Well, I never saw my husband shoot up out of the bed faster in my life when he heard that peacock yell down that chimney. He thought somebody was in trouble. So he jumps out of bed. I'm laughing because I know what it is. But anyway, the peacocks are beautiful, but the peacocks have been a pain in my behind over the years. So now I don't have flower beds. I don't grow flower beds. I don't even have a garden because they just get in there and, like I said, they dig in the dirt, they eat the flowers off of things. Yes, they're beautiful, but they're almost a menace. But now I have, and for the longest time, I hated them. And I thought, I just want these things to go away, But now, as I've aged, when you get older, you start to look at things differently. And when I was younger, I hated them. I wanted them to go away. But now it's like, oh my gosh, we only have 20. Let's protect them. We only had two babies this year. Let's protect them. It's like they were my grandfathers. Now I have a different outlook. Age puts a spin on things. Age gives you a different perspective on everything. And now I don't care. I don't feel like working in a flower bed, so I don't care if I have a flower bed. Now, over the years, I did alter, I kept having flowers, but I would hang them from my porch so that the peacocks couldn't actually get into them. But anyway, I just thought maybe you would enjoy that story about the peacocks. That's how they came about. They do, they go all over the farm. I mean, you can hear them. We're a mile outside of our small town, and you could actually hear them in town sometimes. If the wind is carrying just right and they're yelling, you can actually hear them in town. It's crazy. Everybody knows that we're the peacock people. We have peacocks. And when people come down my lane for the dog grooming, they're very careful not to hit my peacocks. They're always, oh my gosh, your peacocks are so beautiful. And look, there's babies. And do you mind if we pick up feathers? And mostly I do kind of mind if they pick up feathers because they wander all over the place and you never know if somebody's going to get hurt or something could happen. So I tell them not to really do that. But anyway, they ask me stuff like, will the peacocks attack me? No, peacocks are not violent birds. They will not attack you. They will run from you. But anyway, that's the story of how they came to be. And yes, it's 45, 50 years later. And these peacocks, I wouldn't say 50 because I was probably 20. So 40 years later, these peacocks are still here. They're still reproducing. They're still hanging around. They get up on my back porch. They look in my window. They expect me to throw scraps out to them. And believe it or not, I threw out some old broccoli the other day. Fresh, it was fresh broccoli, but I had forgot about it. It got to the back of my refrigerator, and I thought, I'll throw this out here and let the peacocks have it. Oh, they didn't want that. They looked at that broccoli and they were like, no, thank you. You know what they like? It's crazy. French fries. Like if I have leftover French fries, we go out to eat and I bring home leftovers. If I have French fries and I don't feel like eating them, I throw them out there. They eat those French fries. They run around with a French fry hanging out their mouth. It is hysterical. Okay. Also, they like bread, which you probably shouldn't feed them bread. Bread gets in their stomach and swells up. They tell you not to feed birds bread, but I'm just saying. So this has been my life with these peacocks. Everybody thinks they're fabulous. At one time, I hated them, but now, with a different perspective, as age always does, I actually love them. The only thing I don't like is they poop on my porch when they look in the window at me. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.